Hi YouTube, and Merry Christmas. It's Christmas afternoon 2017. My wife got me a couple of presents, few presents for Christmas, and like any kid, I can't wait to try them out. So I'm out here making a video. What she got me a couple of things. This is a David Barron dovetail guide. I got two of them. One's for 90 degrees. It actually doesn't guide you in cutting a dovetail, but it guides you in cutting a nice straight line with a saw. And here's a dovetail guide. This is a 1:7 dovetail guide. The angle is 1:7. Honestly, I attempted to hand cut a dovetail once before, and the dovetails kind of look like Austin Powers' teeth. It was awful, ridiculous. I did this probably a year ago or more. Haven't thought about it since, really. Last year my wife gave me a dovetail machine, or a jig rather. Let me just show you. This is the dovetail jig that she gave me. It's pretty easy to use. I used it to make this one drawer. And as you can see, the dovetails are, they look fine, they look good. They're all symmetrical, everything's the same size, and it kind of looks like a machine made this, and there's a reason for that. It's because a machine made this, right? It was a jig with a router. And don't get me wrong, this looks great. This looks better than anything I could do, on my own without it. I mean, like I said, I tried cutting. I tried a hand cut dovetail before. You need a lot of hours to try and perfect that. And I just don't have that. So we are going to try to cut a dovetail. We're going to try and make a drawer or a box, and we'll see how it goes. Oh, one other Christmas present. This is a Japanese pull saw, and hopefully it'll work better than the saw I was using before. So we'll give this a shot also. Okay, some of the tools that we're going to be using to hand cut the dovetail box. Of course, you're going to have your material, your wood. It's all milled up and ready to go. I've got a compass here to lay out the dovetail template. You're going to need a square. This is the Japanese pull saw that I told you about. You're going to need a marking gauge. These are the guides I told you about. This one's a 90 degree, and this one is a 1:7. And just so you can see, it has a magnet right here with a piece of plastic over it, which will allow for easy back and forth motion with your saw. And also right here is some fine grit sandpaper to keep the guide securely fastened to your material here. I have a mallet. This is a marking gauge, and you're going to need some chisels. These aren't the highest quality chisels. The steel isn't the highest quality, but I did put a really sharp edge on them, so hopefully these will turn out pretty decent. And also I have a hand plane that you're going to need. And last but not least is a coping saw. Okay, so let's get started. First thing we're going to do is we're going to lay out the dovetail template on the tail board first. Okay, one of the first things we're going to do is we have to ascertain the thickness of our material. In this case, this is going to be the pin board. We want to see the thickness of the pin board so we can transfer that thickness onto the tail board. The way we're going to do that is with this marker here. Let me just show you what this is. This is basically a razor's, not quite a razor's edge here, but it's a cutting head. And what you do is you loosen this nut here, so when you push it far enough out here, that cutter's going to fall, and you'll hear it. Okay. I now know the exact thickness of this pin board, so I'm going to lock this down. And now, on the tail board, you're going to cut, or you're going to mark rather, all 4 sides. So we're just going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, and I don't normally do this, but I'm just going to darken this in just a little bit to maybe help everyone see. Oops. Actually, I guess I don't have to do it on the sides. I'm just going to cut that side away. This is a disaster. In any event, so now we're going to mark, we're going to lay out the, dovetail template, so we know where to cut. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut the dovetail board. We're going to cut the tails, and then we're going to, as soon as we're done with the tails, then we're going to cut the pins. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to mark the ends. These are the ends that I'm marking now are called half pins, and there's really no rhyme or reason to it, which is what makes, you know, the hand cut dovetails great, is because, you know, you decide, you know, it's not a machine doing this, you know, it doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical. In fact, I think you don't want that. I think you want people to know that, hey, this looks like it's been cut by hand and not by a router and a jig. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to mark, what are we going to do here? 3/8 on either side here. Okay, fill this in a little bit better for you. And then I'm going to grab compass. And this compass, I took the lead out on the one side, I just put another pin in there, just make it a little easier for me. And I guess I'm gonna have two two dovetails. Now, let's see. I go from here to here to here. Okay, so the distance between here and here is going to be the width of your dovetail, the opening, the width of the pin, not the tail, but the width of the pin. So I think that's pretty good, but I think I might want to decrease it just a bit. Now remember, when you decrease this, you're multiplying it because, let's see, you're multiplying it by 2 in this case. Okay, so now this is substantially shorter, which I kind of like, but I just want it to be a little bigger than that. So let's see here. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Again, distance between here and here is going to be the width of your pin. I like this a lot, so I'm going to go ahead and actually make holes. So I'm going to make a hole here. Make a hole here. And then now what you do is you put your compass back into that half pin that you already made here. Make a hole here, right here. Spin that around. Make another hole here. Okay. And I'm just going to darken this up so everyone can see it. Okay. Now we have laid out our dovetail template. So now what I'm doing is I'm just marking the lines that of the dovetail template that we just determined. Okay. And just to help me, I misspoke earlier. We're actually going to have 3 tails instead of 2. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark out the waist side that we're going to get rid of. Now, okay, so again, we've marked our lines. Here's the waist that we want to get rid of. These are pins, and this is the half pin. These are the tails that we want to keep. Now when we're cutting, we want to cut on the waist side of this line. And again, I'm just going to take this piece, go right up until the edge of that line, and again we're going to cut on that waist side of the line. So let's see if we can give you a better angle. Okay, let's give this a shot. And again, we're going to cut. We're going to cut until the end of that line that that we use the marking gauge for. And here we go. Wow, this saw is awesome. completely different than the saw I was using before. Alright, so that's the first cut. So we have several of these cuts that we have to make. So let's go to the second one. Alright, next one. Okay. Next, we're going to flip it around. No, wait a second. Nice. Okay. For the tailboard, our first tailboard, we have made the appropriate cuts. Now what we have to do is we have to cut the ends here and dog out the pin material. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, so we're going to use our other guide, which is a 90-degree guide that just makes sure that you cut exactly 90 degrees. Okay, that's nice and clean. I have a little cleanup right in the corner here, but we'll do that with a chisel. We're just going to flip it and do the other side. Alright, here we go. Okay, pretty easy, pretty clean so far. And now the hard part. Okay, so I'm going to use a coping saw. I'm going to go in on one of these cuts on the pins, and then I'm just going to, try and remove as much material as I can, so it'll make the chiseling bit a little easier. So here we go. Well, that's not working. I have another saw here. Let's see if this does any better. Still quite a bit of material left in there. Not too pleased with that. Let me try something. Alright, that might be the way to go. Okay. Okay, as you can see, we have a little more to go here. We have to remove this material from here to the line that we struck with our marking gauge. So we're going to do that with a chisel. Now, I mentioned this before, I don't have the greatest quality chisels. However, I did put a pretty good edge on them, so I'm hoping that that'll do the trick. Okay. Okay, you're going to want to make sure that now if there's too much material, you're not going to want to go right up to that knife edge that we made earlier. If there's a lot of material, you're going to want to kind of chip away at it. Otherwise, what could happen is the material could have a tendency to go back past the line, past your knife edge, and that's something you absolutely do not want to have. So we're just going to go ahead and okay. I think we're okay for now. Okay, so our next step is we're going to have to transfer what we just cut here onto our pin board right here. And just like ascertaining the depth of the pin board, we have to find the depth of the tailboard, and we're going to do that the same way. But with the pins, with the pin board, you only have to mark on the long sides, not on the edges here. Okay, online what appears to be a popular trick is to grab a hand plane and you want to get this. Okay, so once you have this all lined up perfectly, or as perfect as you could get it, you're going to want to take your marking knife. You're going to want to score the top of the pin board. Okay, I think that's it. Yeah. Take a look at what I just did. I just marked the top of the pin board, and this is going to be the part that I'm going to cut out, and we're going to leave these small little pins. Okay. Okay, again, we're going to grab our dovetail guide, but instead of having it angled like this, we're going to have it, it's not going to be angled at all like this, okay? It's going to be perpendicular, but now we're going to angle it like this, okay? And again, you're going to take your knife and you're going to want to go right up to the line, and you're going to want to be on, again, on the waist side of the line. Okay, here we go. Okay, last step is to try and fit these two together. Well, it went together. A little easier than I had hoped. Let me show you. I mean, it's okay. it went together a little easier than I had hoped. I want it to be a little more snug. You can see there's a glaring gap right here. I'm not sure what happened. But it definitely does not look like it was made by a jig and a router, though. At least not to me. I don't know. Your mileage may vary. And in any event, what can I say? This was my first attempt at using the hand-cut dovetail guides. To be honest, this came out a lot better than when I tried cutting my own dovetails without that guide. These are, marked improvement, and it's only going to get better. Like I said, this is my first time doing it, so hopefully by the 100th time I'll probably know a little more than I do now. But again, this was a Christmas present. I love it. This saw, I can't talk enough about it. Again, it's a Japanese pull saw. It's a razor saw, and it's awesome. It makes real quick work out of these dovetails. So, okay, guys. As always, if you like the video, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.